Welcome everyone. I just wanted to start out by saying, we really appreciate, taking an hour out of your day to join us for the webinar today. We know finding an hour in the calendar is not easy, so we certainly appreciate your time, and we aim to make a very good use of it here on the webinar today. So I just want to go through the brief agenda so you get an idea of what we'll be covering today. We've designed the webinar to be about 40 minutes in runtime from a presentation perspective, and leaving 10-15 minutes at the end for Q&A so we can make sure we have all your questions addressed before the hour ends and we get you on with your day. So if we take a look at the agenda, the first thing I'm going to do is a brief introduction to CareWorx. As I was introducing myself to the attendees over the last few days, and I spoke to a number of you, I got an understanding that a lot of you, this is your first look at CareWorx as an organization. So I just want to briefly introduce us so you have a good understanding and foundation of our organization. What we're really going to cover next will be ITSM as a service versus the traditional ITSM solutions, and really our take on that notion of ITSM as a service and how it really is helping a lot of customers with their ITSM strategy and employing that. Next, we're going to look at Grand Central. So that's our product name for the world's first ServiceNow as a service offering. So we're really excited about it. Our customers are really excited about it. I think everyone attending like really what we've done by offering ServiceNow as a service. And after that intro, what we're going to do is we're going to have Bobby Edmonds run us through a live product demo, both from the end user perspective as well as the fulfiller perspective, so the the technical perspective, and give you a good overview. And usually after getting an introduction to a product, on top of everyone's mind is sort of the pricing structure. So towards the end here, I'll just cover that off for everyone, so everyone's got a good feel while leaving the call with that as well. And then, as mentioned, Q&A at the end. So as Renita said, please type any questions into the questions section of the GoToWebinar, and we'll collect those and make sure we address them here for you. So to get started, like I said, who we are, just want to give you a bit of a foundation. So CareWorx is actually a top 100 global managed service provider, or MSP. We specialize in 24/7 service desk, IT service management, which will be a big component of today's discussion, IT automation and technology solutions. So really, when you look at who we are, what we aim to do is help customers assess their existing infrastructure, also deploy new infrastructure, and manage technology on an ongoing basis, really to help them focus on mission critical tasks. So we also work with world-class partners like ServiceNow to offer the best products, solutions, and services in the industry. So that's sort of a little bit about who we are. What we do within there is sort of 4 pillars within our managed services and ITSM division. The first is our 24/7 service desk. So that's our enterprise service desk. It really gives customers the ability to hand off, frontline technical support, perhaps just level 1, and extend the capabilities of their in-house team. On your behalf, what we do is we handle some or sometimes all the day-to-day level 1 support issues, so they can actually focus on more strategic technology tasks for our customers. The next is co-managed services. So in co-managed services, what this does is allows the internal IT departments of the customers we work with to extend their capabilities through a partnership approach. So leveraging CareWorx expertise really to augment key areas of service, support, perhaps as well moving into automation that they may need. We leverage a world-class integrated remote monitoring and management solution. So it just helps increase productivity by automating some of the manual process and tasks. And most importantly, moving incidents through the maturity model from reactive to proactive. Now, Managed ITSM, that's really what we introduced to you through the webinar invitation. That's what we're going to focus on today. It combines 4 pillars within our Managed ITSM division that we'll focus on. The first is Grand Central, and that's powered by ServiceNow, and it's ServiceNow as a service, so we'll look at that. The Enterprise Service Desk, remote sysadmin. So I talked to a few people today, actually this morning, that already are using ServiceNow. So we have a remote sysadmin service to help with existing ServiceNow deployments, and co-managed services. So I touched on that a little bit. And to support our offerings, we also provide hardware and software solutions just so we can provide an end-to-end offering to our customers out there. So, we've been in business 13 years. We manage about 60,000 devices across about 1,500 customers that we work with, and we service about 500,000 or more tickets annually, and work with about 1 million end users. So, we know managed services well. We also know the ITSM space really well. And what we're doing with the ITSM space is really just looking at it as a service and actually how we can help organizations employ, ITSM in just a more, I guess, efficient manner. And, we all know IT service management, it's a general term, but it describes a strategic approach for designing, delivering, managing, and really improving, the way technology and IT is used within an organization. The goal of every IT service management framework is really to ensure the right processes, people, technology are all in place, so the organization can meet its business goals. ITSM and ITIL upon, really what it's based, as an integrated process-based set of best practices to manage IT services. So when you look at ITIL, that defines and documents those best practices, where when we focus on ITSM employs them actually to meet the unique end user and customer requirements and priorities. So, ITSM has two main sections, IT service and support and IT service delivery. So we'll touch a little bit on both of those throughout, the presentation today. What do I mean when I say, we offer managed ITSM or ITSM as a service? Traditionally, organizations that look to employ ITSM within their organization are really left to their own devices, sort of source and bring in what they feel is the proper product. One, the resources they'll need, consultants, and a lot of times they're really leveraging their own resources for that project. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money, and it can be daunting. So based on this fact, we felt companies could benefit from a managed services approach, that there was a gaping hole in the market really that we could address with helping organizations employ a proper ITSM product, one, but also employ the strategy around that. And like I said, our offering for ITSM and helping organizations with that is built on 4 pillars. So we've got CareWorx Grand Central, which is powered by ServiceNow. This has really been designed for organizations that crave or need enterprise-grade IT service management. That's built on ITSM and an ITIL framework, but they're either in a position where they just can't justify the enterprise price tag at this point, where they don't want to go through the long implementation and the cost of the implementation cycle on it. We have our 24 service desk, which I touched on, really just gives you the ability to hand off sort of some of the noise or some of the things that may be putting pressure on the front lines for you, and allow you to focus on a more higher value projects within the IT division. The co-managed services and the remote sysadmin for customers that do already have ServiceNow in place. So I wanted to just bring this slide up because, as I talk to a lot of companies and we get a lot of feedback, we're finding, even if a company does have a product, they tend to find the workflows and everything, they're sort of stuck in an older work model where, customer requests, IT incidents, HR cases, they're all sort of following their own paths within the enterprise, right? Moving back and forth between people, between machines and departments. We find a lot of times it's unstructured, and this sort of environment has been unimproved for a lot of years. So most of the work has been done by emails, phone calls, text messages. Tracking is done through things like Excel or stored on local hard drives, or emailed around or occasionally stored in shared folders. But it's all very unstructured, so it's very hard to sort of increase the speed to resolution or just provide greater transparency to the organization. So, what we're finding is a lot of companies obviously have addressed sort of the concept that this is going on, and a lot of them have sort of put a product into the middle section here to address all of this. And what we're finding is sometimes that product that they brought in to help them sort of sort this out may not be, where they where they expected it to be when they first brought it in. So maybe, they were first just trying to solve incident management, so they brought in a product to do that, but it may be immature and really only provide ticketing or incident management. Or they may have a product that just does not have built-in ITIL framework to assist them as they mature as an organization and grow. We see a lot where there's older products in place and they're behind in versions, and it takes a lot of time to kind of keep those up to date and manage those. And a lot of some of those older products don't have a lot of the real cool features that some of the newer ITSM products bring to market. We also hear a lot that the end users just don't use the products and process that they have in place. It may be because maybe the experience isn't what the end user is looking for. But we hear a lot about, we really want to build a portal that is intuitive and enticing to the end user so they actually start to use our product. And really when we look at, sort of that old way of managing it, it tends to affect the business in a number of ways. Usually employees aren't as productive and spend more time on mundane tasks. It takes longer than it should to resolve issues and respond to requests and get the work done. And usually that results in just like higher costs, right? And the revenue of the organization tends to grow a little bit slower. So, what we've seen and what you've seen with products like ServiceNow is, there's a new system of action that's out there and required by a lot of organizations. And, a system that we see in the way we've designed ours, a system that allows requesters to really easily request a service or report an issue with a simple, intuitive user interface. If we can really nail that end user experience and get the end users using it properly, then we're off to a good start. And also provide them real-time status of fulfillment of their requests or resolution of their issues. So it's important to realize, these requesters, in most cases today are humans, but as the number of connected devices grows, we're really seeing a trend where, requests eventually can be made by machines, and then those machines are also going to want to be able to query for status as well. So we really feel it starts with the end user, making sure they're putting in good information and using the systems, and then the actioners actually giving them the visibility into all the requests and be able to prioritize and assign those requests for fulfillment. We really believe that we want teams collaborating on the resolution, even across departments, to resolve issues. Again, today, much of the action is driven by humans, but over time, we see automation playing a big role, increasing the speed and lowering the cost of everything in the enterprise. And that could range from IT incidents to security to customer support, but as well HR requests. So, underpinning the system, really what we designed for is it needs to have excellent workflow and automation to route the requests and issues, automating simple resolutions, and really just speed the process for more complex resolutions. And the system of action, we believe should work across all types of work in the enterprise, starting internally, but expanding to include customers and partners that you work with over time as well, so we can centralize that. So we strongly believe that, we've built out that new system of action. We call it Grand Central, as I've mentioned a few times. So our Grand Central IT service management platform is powered by ServiceNow, which is hands down the world's leading service management platform. But the real cool part and the best part of our offering is that it's fully managed by our team. So you think of, a Netflix type end user experience, right? Like you just subscribe to it and you start using it. It's got in all the built-in functionality that you're looking for. You think of the move from traditional Office to O365, right? You just subscribe to the service. You don't have to deploy it on every laptop and manage it and update it. You just start using it. And that's really what we've designed the product to do. So we handle the implementation, administration, customizations as well for you. So if you look at the features on the screen, you'll see our solution has all the components required to help you mature your IT service organization and delivery model, whether that's you're at a very mature level now or an immature level. It's really sort of an open-end solution, but we've built it out from the get-go to have all the pieces you need depending on your maturity level. The other cool thing is we've built an awesome world-class end-user portal, so it gives an excellent experience to the end user. And I'll show you a screenshot, and actually Bobby will walk you through that end-user experience here in a few minutes. So you might ask, like, what's the difference, or what's different about the way we deliver Grand Central compared with just going and, purchasing, let's say, Enterprise ServiceNow, or, building that up on your own, or any other enterprise ITSM platform out there. The value comes from, with our offering that differentiates it from any other offerings on the market is that our team, including Bobby, when you see him, talk about the product, you'll see his experience come through. Our team has over thousands of enterprise ServiceNow implementations under our belt where we stood that up from scratch. So we really understand the initial time, the money it takes, and the resources to maintain, not only to stand it up, but to maintain it and upgrade those systems. So that's the reason why we spend millions of dollars to build out a solution that allows us really to have, think of it as a multi-tenant parent-child relationship with the product. So what we can do is we can take the best practices learned by deploying thousands of individual instances and then bake that code, best practice deployment and implementation into every new customer we onboard without them having to start from scratch and reinvent the wheel. It just gives us the ability to have customers fully onboarded, operational in a matter of weeks, with all the best practices and workflows that normally take months and months and hundreds of thousands of dollars to achieve. So I wanted to just bring up a slide that sort of represents the cost of enterprise of deploying an enterprise ServiceNow instance as an example. If you see on my screen here, I've got a 25 license or fulfiller environment. So that would represent 25 fulfillers being people that would be fulfilling requests, whether IT service incidents or knowledge requests, questions, anything like that. So the top section, I'll just look at that. We've costed out over a 1 to 3 year period. Implementation, can range anywhere. Some can be as low as 50,000. We see for some 25 license environments that want to introduce incident change, problem management, CMDB, asset management. A lot of the more mature processes that run up to 300,000. Sysadmins, so ServiceNow requires that you have 2 sysadmins trained on the product, it's about 17,000, and then maintaining the product. So having 2 full-time sysadmins on staff, you look at those salaries, about $100K a year, as an example. And then the licensing, you have to pay it all up front for the year. So there's no real, even though it's SaaS, there's no real subscription model along it. You have to pay annually. And the minimum is $42,000 a year. For 25 licenses, you'd be looking at, $135K over a 3 year period. So you look at about 700 grand. Now, I'll come back to our pricing just so you can get a feel for that at the end, but just to give you some compare and contrast now, our solution, to get 25 fulfillers up on the product implemented and all your workflow and everything in place so that you can just start using the product would be about, $5,000 a month as an operating expense. So you're looking at, anywhere from 60 to 70K a year for that type of environment. So it makes a big difference. Now, I talked about that end user portal. We've spent a lot of time and money designing it. So when you bring on a new customer, we can just inherit all your colors, your brand. It's mobile ready, so it's responsive. So they can access it, the users, from really any device online. And we've made it really Google-like, so searching the knowledge base, whatever they need to do, it's just very simple, right? On the screen here, we've got 4 buttons. I'm either going to submit a ticket, I'm going to make a request, I'm going to check status live so I can see what's going on with the ticket that I've submitted, or I'm going to ask a question. You'll see when I flip it to Bobby here now, you'll see we also have service catalog, your service catalog that you can include. So last slide I'm going to go over, and then we'll get out of sort of the PowerPoint presentation and into the product, is I just want to emphasize, when I was speaking to people today and over the last couple of days, just introducing myself before the webinar, I just got a feel for some of the organizations, and we've got some that are very mature on the call today, that have already implemented incident, problem, change management. We've got some that are dealing with incident management and sort of optimizing that. And I just want to say, really, our goal is when we onboard a new client, and Bobby will show you, we've built out the tenant form so we can actually adapt the product to your maturity level when you step into it, and then expand it over time to full maturity so we can take you along that. It's not like you're stuck with one product and then you need to upgrade it from there. We can just change the tenant options to actually give you that maturity level. So with no further ado, I'd like to hand it over to Bobby Edmonds to take us through a product to us.
Hey Derek, thanks a bunch, man. All right, so it's great to be speaking to you guys today, and like Derek said, I'm going to take you through the actual Grand Central product here. This is the login screen for Grand Central, and as you can see, it has the Grand Central theming on it. I've created a demo company called Acme. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to log in with the Acme end user, which I just called Acme user in this case. Now the first thing you'll notice when I log in as the Acme user here is that the branding changed, right? So this is one of the features of Grand Central, is that every customer on the system can have their own branding. You can put your own logos, your own colors here, your own background screen. So it makes it feel like home for your users, right? And like Derek said earlier, we've got this central, what we call a hero menu here in the center, really huge icons. There's 4 of them. It's easy to press. If you're on a mobile device, you can press the button with your thumb, you know. If you're on a screen, any other screen, a laptop, a desktop, a tablet, it doesn't matter. It's very responsive. You're going to get this same, you know, look and feel, and it's going to respond to the size of the screen. If I grab the screen here and start dragging it over, you'll see automatically it starts changing and responding to the size of the screen that I'm on here. We replicate some of what's up here in the top menu as well. Different users like to access things different way, and it just depends on who you are, what you like. You get 2 kind of options here to get to this information. Also, you'll notice down at the bottom, this is kind of a hot area for service catalog items that you use a lot. This wouldn't be your full service catalog, but you may take your 5 or 10 most used catalog items and throw them on the front page. That way, if someone accesses the instance from from a mobile device or anything like that, they can have really quick access to make a request. If you want the full service catalog, for example, you could click here on make a request, and here's some catalog items that are out of the box. Obviously, you'll come with your own catalog of things that you want to add, and you're not just limited to IT service management catalog items. You can create a request catalog for any departments, for any reason that you would, want to have items in here. Also, if I wanted to submit a ticket, let's say I want to create an incident as this user, I can click submit a ticket here and say, my phone got wet. Must be a new iPhone model coming out, right? Everybody's phones get wet and stop working whenever there's a new model. Please help. All right, so I'll submit this. It's very simple here for the end user, because again, this is a non-technical person. This is just somebody trying to get through their day and they're having a problem. So we make it really simple for them. Couple of fields, give me a short description, tell me what your problem is. And then they have this very simple view of the ticket, which is just, they can add additional comments. This is a very social experience for them. So, they'll get an email saying that this was opened. Some queue will get an email saying, hey, this is in there. If the support person comes in and starts working on this in real time, this user will be able to see responses coming from that ITIL, that support user, the fulfiller, and they can have a communication back and forth here with this. Later on, if they come in here and they want to see what they have open, what they have pending, they can click on check status and either drill into open incidents or open requests. If I go in here, open incidents, you'll see I've got 2 incidents open right now, one for my computer not working, one for my phone. And if I drill into this one, then you can see where this is at right now. It's currently assigned to someone, so nobody's working on it yet, but it's assigned. All right. Also, if this user wants to, there's also a support view. So this is the commercialized view, the very nice, easy to use, keep it simple. But if they want to access the full ServiceNow, what we call the frame setter, the support view, they can get to that through here. And they still just have this self-service menu because, again, this is an end user. There's not very much that they should have access to, but they got some different dashboards here, different way of seeing the data. So it's really up to them on how they, how they want to work. Now let me log out of this user, and I'll log in as the ITIL user. Now, an ITIL user, initially when they log in, they're still going to get this portal view because every user in the company is a requester for something, right? So we like to make it really simple for everybody. First time they log in, this is where you're at. But for the most part, your ITIL users are going to work from the support view. Now, from here, ITIL users are going to have this service desk menu. This will let them see, all the users that are in the organization, all the incidents that are currently open, knowledge articles that they have access to, and then their work. So anything that's assigned to them directly will show up under this menu. Anything that's assigned to groups that they happen to be a member of, but not currently assigned to, an assigned to person, an actual assignment person, will show up under my group's work. For example, I could take this here and assign it to myself. I've got assigned to me right here in the list. So now it's gone from this, my group's work, and if I come over here to my work, you'll see that now both of these are actually assigned to me. All right. You can also, if your company is using SLAs, which are supported by the system, you can view work by sorted by SLAs. So once an incident comes in, SLA gets associated with it. You can reverse sort order and work out of a queue like that, so that you can pick up the next task, whatever it happens to be, whether it's an incident, a request, a change, or whatever you have access to as a fulfiller, whichever one's going to breach next. You can pick that up next by working in this manner. Right. And then, for incident management, you can, of course, as a fulfiller, you receive a phone call, you can come in here and create a new incident directly. You can see the form is very simple right now. This is a little bit of that maturity as you go thing that Derek was talking about. So right now we call this the incident kind of the simple process. This is one when you're moving from say notepads and Excel spreadsheets and Access databases and things like that into an actual enterprise tool like this for the first time. We try to make it very simple. So in this form, you fill out who the impacted user is. It's the Acme user, and then you select your category, whatever that happens to be. If that category has a subcategory, then you'll see subcategory pop up as well, like here, and you can select your subcategory. Both of these fields are configurable by you as a company, so you can come in and you can put your own categories and subcategories in here anytime you want. You can change these lists. And then priority, you can set priority directly here. So again, very simple, not much gating here. Assignment group, assigned to, you have as a company full rights to configure your data, add users, add groups, that kind of thing. And then, so fill out short description, and then you've got that same notes section. Watch list is for adding more end users to see this this particular incident. Work notes list is for adding additional fulfillers to track this incident. So that's what those two things are for. Let's now go log in as the admin. So this would be your admin on Grand Central. Let's go back over to the support view. Now what we can do with the admin, because this person has some extra rights, is we can go to Elevate Roles and we can give them user administration, access to our tenant administration, and the integration assistant. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn all of those on and let you see now here's user administration. So your administrator can add, remove, delete, modify users, groups, departments, locations, and companies here. Your fulfiller also has access to reports here, but I'll just show you out of the box. We've got about 416 reports across the different products that we support. Configuration management and change management incident here. So let's do this, because I mentioned the ability for you to change the way that incident works. So I really want to show you this feature. And again, this is called the tenant management feature, where you have these settings to control how things work. And again, this is that simple process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into tenant management and go to configuration. And then for incident management, I'm going to select the settings for incident management here. So right here, you can change the, resolve to close days. So this is, once an incident's resolved, how long does it sit before it automatically closes? You change that for yourself right here. You can decide whether you want to use SLAs, whether you want to associate CIs with incidents, whether or not you want to use incident tasks. Some companies bounce one incident around from group to group until it's resolved. Some companies keep the parent incident with, like the service desk, and then like to assign out incident tasks. Some people use them, some people don't. If you use them, you can check that. And then I'm going to just go ahead and flip over to the incident full, which is the full process around incident management. And I'm going to save this in place so I can show you one other thing as well, which is this configure impact and urgency priority matrix. Earlier when I showed you priority, you could directly manipulate it. But if you decide to use the full process, you're going to see that you use impact and urgency now to configure priority. So this is where you can come and either accept our default list, or you can go in here and make changes to this priority matrix for yourself. So now when I go back to incident, you'll see there's a lot more fields here, right? And there's a lot more gating around the processes. For example, priority here is read only, so now you have to use impact and urgency to set priority, right? And then you'll notice there's a lot more tabs down here, and we're dealing with related records, and we're dealing with SLAs and things like that now. And if I pop over to one of these incidents that's already open, you can see down here that we have these, associations. Okay. So the next thing I want to show you here is the tenant portal platform, which is how you get that branding. So this Acme company has their own record in here for configuring the portal. And so with this, you can select your own logo and the Jumbotron background image and things like that. The footer text that you're going to have there, whether or not you want to have an alert system on the home page for doing like a drop-down alerts or marquees or both types, scrolling alert messages and things like that. The tagline that's on the home page, the landing page catalog items and things here, as well as your styles, your colors, primary and secondary colors and font colors, which catalog you want to show up on the front page. And if you want to show a contact us box, you can also do that. You can check that off and fill in this information here. And it has the ability to run multiple, so a published and a draft and retired. So you can actually, come and create one in a draft mode and test it out before publishing it to everybody else. And this is a feature just of Grand Central. So, no other product in the ServiceNow ecosystem has this. This is a very, purpose-built portal with this back end on it just for this ecosystem, as well as the tenant choices thing that I talked about earlier, where you can configure your own categories and subcategories and contact types. This is a feature here that's only available, set this real quick. Oh, one more mandatory field down here. This is a feature that's only available to Grand Central, so you can configure tenant choices, and we've got these 3 fields on the incident table. And so if you want to add an additional contact type, you can click here and just add another contact type in here. It's that simple. Right. And another piece that is Grand Central only is this integration assistant. So normally when you do integrations with ServiceNow, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of professional services involved. There's scripting, so there's testing and development planning, all that stuff that has to go into it. And so what we've done is we've kind of scooped off the top of that and said, we've created this graphical way of creating integrations. And in this first release of it, we've enabled it for the incident table to enable things like bidirectional integrations for event management and just keeping any other system that you have in your environment that you may want to fire off an incident from and get it into Grand Central so that it can be acted on, or any incident that's in Grand Central that you may want to go and alert some other system that this record exists, is what you would use this for. And we're going to gradually open this up to other tables in the system and eventually all tables in the system to make it just really, really simple to do web services. So, here we support REST and SOAP type web services, and then you can do just inbound, just outbound, or bidirectional. So, for example, if I wanted to do an outbound here, I could choose the endpoint that I'm sending to and the method that I want to use, and then give it a username and a password, tell it whether or not to send attachments, and then set up a condition. And the condition could be like, if the category is something and the state is something else, and then save this. And once I activate it, it'll go and check the endpoint and the credentials. It'll make sure that all that's good. And if it's good, it'll allow this to be activated. And once it's activated, anytime this condition matches, it'll go ahead and send that incident out to another system. And then, the same kind of idea for inbound is that you say whether or not you're going to accept attachments and, what the endpoint is and what the authenticated user in the system is going to be that you're going to be receiving inbounds on this for, and this being active in the system against this, a user that you have in the system will allow for this data to come in and be written into your incident table here. Yeah, I think that's about it. So Derek, I'm going to turn it back over to you, let you talk about the pricing and
Great.
Go from there.
Thanks, Bobby.
Yeah, no problem.
So I just wanted to do a high level on pricing. I thought it would be important just so everyone can sort of leave with the way we package it up. And really what we've done here with the product, we wanted to keep it as simple and straightforward as possible and really offer it on a model that a lot of more organizations could digest. And typically with ServiceNow, they've got a lot of the market within the global 2K. But what we wanted to do is make Grand Central available to organizations that maybe don't have the enterprise spend, that may be in the mid-market space where they've outgrown some of the products of the SMB and are maturing, and are in the mid-market or enterprise space, but just don't have the budget to stretch there. So we made it very simple. We charge a license fee of $225 per license or per fulfiller, which is, maybe an agent who, a good way to describe it, an agent who is fulfilling requests. And there's only a one-time onboarding fee that applies. That includes all the setup and onboarding and implementation for new customers as well. And that ranges, it usually comes in around 15 grand as a one-time fee. So, if we sort of look at that side by side of, what I was showing earlier, ServiceNow, the enterprise version, and bringing that in and standing it up, here's sort of a side by side, right? So we really eliminate a lot of the costs in terms of the sysadmin training that you need, as well as the implementation fees, because we've already done all of that and baked all of that implementation into the base product so you can just start using it. So at this point, what I'd like to do is take some questions. So I've been going through them. Bobby, I'll read them out if you'd like, and maybe you could answer them. I've gone through them, and a lot of them are more probably in your wheelhouse. So the first question is, we may not need something that comprehensive. We've got a basic ticketing tool that suits our needs. would this be a fit for them, they're asking?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's exactly what Grand Central was built for, right? So ServiceNow is an enterprise product, and it's, generally ServiceNow sells into G2K, and their backbone, operationally, everything that they have available, is daunting in the fact that, it's such a large and comprehensive product. But Grand Central was made to work as a service and made to work a la carte, right? So you can very easily come into Grand Central and decide, you know what, I just want to do incident management right now. And when we subscribe you to just incident management, that's all you're going to see. You're not going to see all the noise of everything else that's offered in the service. And so it all works on a subscription basis. And, you have the ability, because we don't charge extra for all of those, all of the products that were flashed up earlier. Like, all that comes as part of Grand Central, but it's up to you when you want to go live with it. So you can very easily come on and subscribe from an administrative perspective to one product at a time, and absorb that into your environment as works for you.
Right. Okay, thanks. There's another one here. They ask, we've got a diverse workforce, and allowing their employees to bring their own devices, and also they don't want to have a requirement of VPN. Would that sort of environment, would they still be able to use this solution in that environment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on the VPN question, obviously, again, this is hosted by ServiceNow directly on, out on the internet. So it's accessible from anywhere in the world. And going back to the other question about, multiple devices, bring your own device kind of thing, is that, like we said earlier, it's a responsive design. So any device, any screen size, ServiceNow natively will work across all, device screens and types, and all the, the custom portal work and everything that enables that great user experience that we've put in there works perfectly across, all different devices and screens and, browser variations and everything else.
Okay, perfect. And I got one more. We got time for one more. I mentioned we'd sort of end it at around 10 too, so I'll just bring up the one more. It says, I'm trying to get my CEO to get on board. What can I demonstrate in real numbers that will show him the benefit of self-service portals that people use rather than ignoring email and phone? I guess the question is, do we have any sort of ROI cases that we can present back to them?
I think this one would be a good one to get on the phone with them and see exactly what they're looking for. Because, yeah, I mean, we have numbers around all kinds of stuff, and we've done the analysis. But if we can figure out exactly what they're looking for, then I think we could put some numbers together for them to work.
Okay, great. So we've got who that question came from, so we'll reach out directly to you and get that addressed. And that's going to take us to the end of the webinar. Again, I just want to thank everyone who was able to jump on and dedicate the time. We certainly appreciate it. I've got up here on the screen just a contact number as well as an email just into our business development team should you want to reach out. But what we'll do is just to personalize this for you. We'll send you a personal email, with it'll either come from myself or Natalie, just with some of the follow-up content from the webinar, and then that way you've got our personal information to reach out if there's any questions. So again, I want to thank everyone, and have a good rest of the day. Thanks, everyone.